All right, Eric. Really, we could start in a few places, but we'll just start with the main event they're hyping at the end here, the big angle. Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre, Saturday night's main event. Week from tomorrow on Saturday night's main event on Peacock. Just a good follow-up to last week. I like Cody in the role where he's just a champion who's a straightforward babyface coming to the aid of Jimmy, doing the right thing, giving advice to Jimmy earlier in the show, and Jimmy coming to him for advice, or at least kind of information on what's going on. Drew doing the same thing he's been doing. It's not my fault. Everybody's out to get me. The fans are brainwashed by corporate Cody. I don't think anything was super novel, but it feels to me like things are just sort of back on a solid track during this season without a bunch of things kind of getting in the way or being overly complicated. And so to me, it's kind of like a deep breath storyline. Cody's the champ. Drew wants it. It's a not the freshest matchup, but I think they're finding a way to make it feel intense by Cody turning things up to the degree that he is. What were your thoughts on tonight? What stood out about the hype for this?
Yeah, I agree with you, Wade. It was some basic stuff that we've seen before with these two, and even in recent memory. But I thought they started off by having Cody explain that him hitting Drew with the belt was uncharacteristic for him.
Yes.
Which I thought was a good explanation that we needed, so we didn't think this was going to be more than that. Other than, it was basically, I felt like it was telling us, don't expect a heel turn coming here. This was just him being aggressive and being emotional, which I think was good. And, very, very over baby faces are difficult to develop. So let's relish this as long as it lasts.
I'm with you. I mean, all this eagerness to turn Cody. I mean, I just feel like it's just like a lack of any temptation to do that at this point is a lack of like discipline by WWE and people just looking for something that would be entertaining in the short run. But like you said, it's hard to find a babyface who just fits the babyface role. That's not to say Cody will not make money and be super compelling as a heel someday. And when the time is right, do it. But I don't think the time is right when you finally have a babyface who is largely being cheered almost everywhere by almost everyone. There's a little, catcall here and there during certain moments here and there. But I don't think he has the popularity level that he did a couple years ago. I think the journey he was on, and then, before Rock showed up and John Cena, kind of bigfooted him a bit. I think he's in a better place, but I still think he's in a good place. And part of getting back to a better place is just having some good heels in a straightforward storyline. It's a Saturday's main event, and it's going to lead, the match with Cody and Drew is going to lead to something probably for each of them separate. Actually, have you thought about or come up with a theory on who wins and how and what the fallout is, and is, Jimmy involved or like we had some of that. Is that just sidebar stuff, or do you think that'll come into play a week from Saturday?
I think the biggest question mark I have is who will be involved in the War Games match at Survivor Series. Will Cody be separated from that? If Cody's going to be separate from that, then I don't think it will have anything to do with the Usos or anyone in that story that's going on that's clearly going to end up in the War Games match. There's a strong chance I think that Randy Orton's involved in this somehow. I've been kind of eyeing up in my brain that we're going to get Cody versus Orton all the way at WrestleMania. So if they want to start really setting that up now, it would be a good time. But it's a little bit of a question mark. The one thing I think they can't do is continue down the Cody versus Drew path, because it is, they're doing a good job of it right now, like we said, but it's really running the risk of getting stale if this drags on much longer.
Yeah.
So they need to switch direction, and they don't have a lot of time. It's less than a month from Survivor Series now.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to pivot quickly. So unless they're going to do some sort of stipulation match between those two, I agree with you that they're going to go separate ways. McIntyre, I don't know who I don't see any really obvious opponents for him off the top of my head, unless you can think of anyone. But Cody, it seems like Orton's waiting in the wings.
Yeah. I mean, we look at the SmackDown side of things. You've got Cody as a top babyface at this point. I think Drew's the top heel, but you've got Aleister Black, Solo Sikoa, The Miz. I mean, there's not a lot of depth chart for Cody. Yeah.
There's a notable lack of star power on SmackDown right now. And honestly, it brought me to another topic I wanted to chat about at some point, which was Jimmy Uso, the singles main eventer. I find that fascinating. I don't know if we're ready to go there yet, but I think there's a lot to it that interests me.
Well, yeah, let's explore that in a bit.
Sure.
Yeah, because I think as far as like Drew opponents, um, he is the top heel who is SmackDown proper, unless I'm forgetting somebody. And Roman Reigns is part time. Sami Zayn at this point still a babyface. Damian Priest a babyface. Ilya Dragunov obviously so. Got Randy Orton in there. Ray Phoenix. Kevin Owens will be back at some point. Jacob Fatu will be back at some point. Carmelo Hayes getting a bit of a push. You got Shinsuke.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, I mean it's in the chat, a couple comments here. Kavanti Smalls says a ho-hum episode of SmackDown. It still feels like it's missing star power. And I get that. It's part of the downside of spending so much time on like celebrating John Cena and then having a guy like Roman Reigns, who whenever he's around, he's the biggest deal. And even The Rock going back a ways. The price you pay for making such a big deal out of returning stars who aren't full time is when they go away, there's this sense of something is missing. And whatever little temporary boost you get from some big legendary name coming back or celebrity, Logan Paul, Paul McAfee, all that stuff. I'm not saying never do it, but you've got to make up some lost ground when then there's a show without any of that. And this show didn't have any of that. And it does feel like, oh, this isn't the most special time of WWE season. I'm just watching the regulars. And it should never feel that way. You want the regulars to feel like the biggest stars. That's been my issue with Cody's frame, or the way John Cena's framed Cody Rhodes. I say it all the time. The lead up to WrestleMania, Cena barely acknowledged who his opponent was. After SummerSlam, he didn't say anything about him. The Rock came across as a bigger star, like he's in control, and Cody's the one who is going to take his offer, not take his offer. And before that, Cody was the center of this boom period universe for WWE. So they're paying a price for that, and I don't know that ultimately it's worth it, because it is weeks like this where if they had if on the Netflix debut on Raw, the current stars were framed as this is a new era and these are the only people who count, and it wasn't all about look at Paul Levesque, look at The Rock talking to Cody, talking down to Cody or patronizing him. Those you could have said, is this about Cody and Rhea Ripley, and really decide who you're going to celebrate, and they kind of did, but not enough. And in the end, now we have shows like this, which I think were just solid. And frankly, some TV shows on a 52-week-a-year show where there's 3 shows a week WWE's producing, counting NXT, plus all these PLEs, some are going to feel ordinary, which does lead us to Jimmy Uso in a main event. So let's do that, because I don't think we solved the issue of who the next great opponent for Drew or Cody are, given the depth chart. I mean, they have some people to play with, but they're going to have to. There's going to have to be something that establishes it, because it's not apparent if you're just watching the storylines right now who would be next for them. And then they switch brands and they bring people back, and so it's like you never know if you're working with the current active list or there's the surprise off injured reserve like Dragunov, which was a really cool surprise last week for Sammy. Yeah. He wouldn't have been on our radar as a surprise U.S. Open challenger for him. And we'll get into a follow-up on that, obviously, in Dragunov and Alistair. So Jimmy Uso in the main event. I'm my default position is to be sympathetic to the notion that you got to come up with creative main events.
Yeah.
You have a lot of PLEs to serve, and you don't want to burn out the matches for free on TV. You have to come across to your TV partners, Netflix, USA Network. You have to come across them like you're giving them star power. Jimmy's a star in WWE. I mean, he is part of the Jay, Roman, Sammy, now Cody, Drew, Jacob Fatu. There's all these intertwined things. I think storyline-wise, it's fine to put Jimmy out there, and he's blaming Drew, which I want to get into too. He's blaming Drew for the attack on Jacob Fatu. I thought this was a suitable main event for, I wouldn't use the term ho-hum, but a kind of run-of-the-mill, nothing super special episode of SmackDown. I guess I just defined ho-hum. Eric, your thoughts?
So even going back to what you said before about the void that there's been lately, I feel like WWE was able to kind of mitigate that void for a few years because of how creative the storyline of the Bloodline was. But now that is kind of not at the level that it was, the lack of star power is even more obvious. And with Jimmy, I'm very sympathetic as well, because I was trying to think in my brain of anyone who's had more to overcome to be a main eventer, because he has to overcome his own twin being one now. Has that ever happened before, where he's got to live up to what Jay's already doing? Mm-hmm. He obviously looks like his brother. So he's got to overcome that and show something different than what Jay has shown. And I've kind of got this secret theory in my brain that everything going on with Jay and Roman right now is all designed to help get Jimmy over in a bigger way. And I think that's what they're trying to do. And I think he probably has it in him. There are times when I feel like some of Jimmy's mannerisms and what he's doing is even better than what Jay's got going on. So it makes me wonder if they can succeed with this, but I'm curious if this is going to lead to something big for Jimmy over the next couple months to try to get him to the next level.
So did Jimmy attack Jacob Fatu? Because that would be a card they could play, because everyone's thinking, oh, Jay is the one showing this edge. He's trying to live up to what Roman is telling him to do. Now you have Jimmy very presumptuously, one might perceive it, blaming Drew without evidence. So you have that. I mean, there's other place they can go. Real Legend in the chat says, I think the most likely people who took out Jacob Fatu is Randy Orton or the MFTs. So, I mean, there's a variety of candidates, but I don't know. I mean, I think if you say, let's play out the idea that Jimmy is the guy who did it, they're almost going overboard to make him seem like he's the innocent one who's accusing the others, and it's Jay that everyone's worried about, kind of turning to the dark side. And Jimmy said, I just showed up here to, find out about Jacob and talk to Nick Aldis about things. So they're in pro wrestling, anytime anything is pretty heavy-handed, you got to be suspicious it's a misdirection.
Yeah.
And they're going pretty heavy with Jimmy being, out for revenge for something that maybe he did. Yeah. What do you think?
Well, one, I think Jay is too obvious. He's having the finger pointed at him too directly for it to be him. Mm-hmm. Jimmy would be historically who we would expect as fans to see it happen, which makes me think it's a third party designed to try to get in between Jimmy and Jay. And I know Solo seems like such an easy answer on that one too. So I kind of lean against that. I think it's probably someone we don't expect that's going to cause, even if it's indirectly, more of a rift between Jay and Jimmy. Because I think they really want to stir up emotions going into War Games that have a lot of moving parts. Yeah.
And I mean, chat, chime on in if you've got some theories on this. Kevin Owens just isn't going to be ready yet by all accounts. And
I doubt it's Sammy.
I know he crossed my mind, and I was like, I'm not going to bring that up. I mean, they might be going a direction with Sammy, but the timeline doesn't make sense. Like, why would he do it when he did it? And I can't think of a backstory promo where Sammy go, this is why I did it. Let me,
it doesn't make sense.
Let me have this, explanation. And it kind of, extrapolate these things that you should have seen, but now they look obvious in retrospect. None of that exists. So I don't know. I mean, that's where Jimmy sort of fits. But I don't know. I mean, like, I'm thinking as I'm talking, like, what would Jimmy's story be? Here's
what's his motivation?
But it's also possible the promo would reveal things we just don't know about his dynamic with his cousin. I mean, the fact that they have a history as family means they're in canon. It would be reasonable to think we don't know everything, and it would be okay. It's not like introducing the villain in the last chapter of a mystery novel when there were 4 candidates you spent 200 pages speculating about. There is a history with these two. We don't need to know all of it for it to be believable if it's explained to us later, because it is in canon that these two have a history as family. So I throw that out there. I
see in the chat, do we assume that Jimmy and Jay will eventually be at odds? I personally think we'll get right up to that, but I don't think we're going to get to a point where there's a real break between them this time. I think they'll resolve it before that. I don't know how you feel, Wade. I think we've been down that road recently enough that they don't need to.
Yeah. Sean Plichta, who will be a caller in a moment, asked that in the chat, and if Jimmy turns heel and Jay doesn't, I think they'll be at odds, but they also will be on separate brands, probably occupied with different things. So maybe they could be at odds but not feud. I mean, I just don't think people want to see them feud. But I could see Roman going, I mean, I'm just throwing this out there like off the cuff. Roman could go, Jay, don't be preoccupied with Jimmy. Jimmy's digging his own grave over there. He's got people He's pissed off enough people. Let him do his own thing. Let's focus on you. And Jay's like, yeah, I don't want to deal with that guy. I mean, they could just blow it off. It makes sense for them to interact at this time. But I do think Jimmy has some range. I mean, I think Jay is portrayed as a bit of it's overstating a bit, but a bit of a simpleton. Like, really cool guy, likes to yeet, super likable, but also easily influenced. He's a follower. And Roman can kind of manipulate him. Jimmy seems like he'd have more going on upstairs that could, one, it adds some nuance and sophistication to what might motivate him. Like, I could imagine that Jimmy would be able to explain in a promo why he did something, and it would feel kind of like a Drew McIntyre side of things, where he has a story he's told himself, and it makes sense to him. With Jay, he feels more emotional and impulsive. So I think there's a way for this to work with Jimmy turning heel, do so in a way where he gets booed, but it doesn't feel, it feels like, okay, there's a story here, and Jimmy told it, and now I want to say Jimmy get beat up because I don't like the story he's telling himself. I think he's not being truthful to us or himself. I mean, I think there's a way to go there, and it would probably be related to Roman turning Jay into his project or something about Jacob we don't know about. There's a variety of ways it could go. So anyway, any follow up with that?
It's interesting because Jimmy has the easy motivation of saying he's tired of living in the shadow of his brother now. First, it was both of them living in Roman's shadow. Now he's living in both their shadows. But if it's interesting what you just said about how Jay's been portrayed as kind of, like you said, a simpleton in a way. He just reacts.
Yep.
And Jimmy has been more nuanced with this, which is the exact opposite of how they were 3 years ago. When it came with the interactions with Sammy, where Jimmy was just always like, oh, I'm your friend to your face, but behind your back, I'm not. And Jay was always the subtle one about it and always questioning things. It's interesting how they flipped.
And I think the journey we've been on with them is once the bloodline broke away, Jimmy has had all this success and Jimmy hasn't. And I think that'd be the core aspect of why Jimmy is handling things differently. I still think that Jay in the bloodline, I see a through line to who he is now, and I see a through line to who Jimmy is now. But I think it's they have in certain ways switched certain perceptions of themselves based on the journey that they've been on, or the journey the other's been on, and how they react to it. Plus, Roman I'm super curious how the Roman thing plays out, and does he know what he's doing to Jay, and is he going to be happy with how Jay handles things? And in the end, if Jay lands in a certain wherever Jay lands, is Roman going to go, that's exactly what I knew, where I knew you'd land when I tested you or when I steered you, and you've made me proud, or you've disappointed me? I think there's that moment planned, and they're working backwards from that. And I like that it's not obvious where that landing place is. I think the key is just don't mess with Roman as a babyface. I mean, like, he should be a cool guy who ultimately does have Jay's best interest in mind, in the advice he gives him and where he thinks he'll end up. Yeah.
I think it's.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, just what we've talked about tonight. I like the Jimmy versus Jay, and then including the Roman dynamic, because it's so interesting and we don't know where it's going. When we contrast to what we just talked about with Cody and Drew, which is so kind of standard and what we're used to, much prefer this, and there's much more to talk about with it too.
Now, people complain, and Derek Mitchell is in the chat. I feel like we've seen this before when Jimmy turned heel for the 100th time during the Bloodline angle, turning on his brother Jay. And I have that feeling too. Like, there is a bit of, like in AEW, there was a term, the Codyverse. It's Cody feuding with his friends. And it's like, wait, there's all these other wrestlers out there we want to see you wrestle, but you're with QT Marshall and whatever. It's like, what's going on here? And then you have the Moxley-verse. He's got his crew. He clearly respects Wheeler Yuta and Danny Garcia and Claudio. They go way back. He likes Powerhouse Hobbs, which is why Mox wrestled him, and then when he got hurt, he wrestled him when he came back. Speaking of Hobbs, so you've got that group. Then this is an AEW show, but there's all these kind of factions of people who have their corner of the locker room, and they come up with reasons to keep wrestling each other because they're in their comfort zone. And WWE doesn't usually do that, but the Bloodline feels a bit like that. Roman has a list of people he kind of wants to do TV with and work with, and I think Paul Heyman and Paul Levesque and the writing team love writing with the Bloodline story. But I think they get latitude here, that we give them grace, because it is one of the major storylines of the last 5+ years of WWE. So let them tell us a new chapter. Like I'm still into the
Right.
family. Enough has happened, like you said, with Jay winning and Jimmy maybe being jealous. I don't know. I think there's enough going on where they can take these characters we know well and say it's season 5 or season 6 of a series we're into, and not complain that they're not working with others. That said, I understand the complaint. I mean, I think
Agreed.
it's not like a super deep roster, but at some point you'd like to see Roman really have something going on where he's giving a little bit of a rub or interacting in a fresh way, not with the same people. Same with Jimmy and Jay.
If this ends with Jay or Jimmy, or I guess inexplicably even Roman turning heel, and that's how this ends, I'll be very disappointed and I'll feel like it was a waste.
Yeah.
If this ends in some sort of Roman knows he's not going to be around as much, and Jay and Jimmy are kind of just getting it out of their system, and even if they have one match, and even if it's the winner of that match gets the Ulafala from Roman, and Jimmy wins it fair and square, and Jay accepts that, hugs his brother, doesn't turn on him, realizes it's not just always about winning the championship. You had a great match with your brother. You lost. It's okay to lose. If they went that route and Jimmy just moves on and it takes him to the next level, it won't hurt Jay at all. It won't hurt Roman at all. I'd be very happy.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of ifs. So we'll see.
Yeah. All right, well, let's pause and introduce ourselves. We're kind of deep into the show, a long block A, but that's good. And then we'll bring some callers on and also talk about other aspects of this show. And there we had a Jade Cargill heel turn, the follow-up on Ilya Dragunov and Sami Zayn and Aleister Black Dragunov match, whatever, bunch of other things. This is a Wade Keller Pro Wrestling post show for Friday, October 24th, 2025. I'm Wade Keller, host of the show, the editor, publisher, and founder of the long-running Pro Wrestling Torch weekly newsletter. In fact, here's the latest cover of the weekly print copy. The PDF of that is available with a PWTorch VIP membership. So everybody, you're encouraged to check out details on VIP membership. A lot comes with that membership, not just new content throughout the week that's VIP exclusive, including commercial-free podcasts and an ad-free website, but also you can unlock nearly 4 decades of content that we've been adding to since we launched the website in 99 and launched the VIP section a few years later, and we keep adding to it. So full details, all kinds of ways to sign up: PayPal, credit card, Patreon, your Apple account, and more. PWTorch.com/GoVIP. But we're here to talk SmackDown, and Eric Corbridge is here with me tonight. He covers SmackDown on PWTorch.com, and for VIP members, the ad-free version, PWTorchVIP.com. Every Friday night with his TV reports with analysis right next to mine. So you get kind of two perspectives, and we all kind of pick out different details to focus on our two reports together. Certainly have you covered if you're not seeing the show or you just want something better than little snippets on social media in terms of analysis and perspective on what's going on. Eric, welcome back to the coast here. Great to have you on.
Thanks. It's always great to be here. I know a lot of talk of, sometimes this can be a slow period for WWE, but I think it gives us a chance to talk about a lot of things and see what they could do that actually might, get things moving a little bit.
Yeah. Well, we only covered kind of that main. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess we covered Jay. There's a lot of connections with Cody and Drew, and then you got Jimmy, and then you got Jacob, and then we talked about Jay and the Bloodline. So even though we talked about kind of one thing, we actually talked about several things. But let's bring Sean Plitchton into the conversation, because he will lead us and steer us into some other topics too, and he might give us feedback on that first section. Regular caller here on the show. By the way, if you want to call into the show, check the link in my PWTorch Smackdown report. There's a link to be a video caller. You can turn off your camera if you just want to be audio. That's certainly fine too. And if you are watching us live on our YouTube channel, you can join us in the chat. And you can also email us if you want to use that approach to be part of the show. You don't have to watch us live to email us and be part of the show. WadeKellerPodcast@gmail.com. That's also the email if you want to email the flagship, WadeKellerPodcast@gmail.com. All right, so we'll bring Sean into the show now. Sean, welcome. Good to see you. Good to talk to you. What's on your mind about SmackDown tonight?
Always a pleasure to talk to you guys. I'm getting in here now because I found out that I'm actually probably going to have to start working on Monday nights again. And I'm like, no, I love watching Raw like earlier, and it's like, crap, I got to watch it late. But, it is what it is. Good to talk to y'all. So just going to Jimmy J real fast. Of course, I've talked a little bit about, I think, a heel turn. Well, I was talking about a heel turn for Jay. I think would honestly be good for him because I just think Jay's so one note right now. Even though he's had this stuff with Roman lately, and they've been trying to tell that story, but I don't know. Even with Jimmy, I've always liked Jimmy, but I always thought Jay had more in him than Jimmy did. I've never seen. I guess Eric, I haven't seen the same thing that you with Jimmy. He's okay. He's not bad. He's fine. He's just not like I don't think a next level guy to me. Where Jay, I think, has the potential to be that and has already shown some of that. So I hope one of them honestly would turn heel. I just don't want them to be associated all the time with each other to where they feud with each other and all that. Like you said, I don't want that because we saw what they did and it wasn't good. So that's where I'm at with that.
Yeah. I'm not. I mean, I sort of have a in Bloodline, in Paul Heyman, I trust approach until proven wrong on Bloodline storylines historically. And I kind of, anything that comes from that realm, I just figure they've really put thought into it. And it'll work. Like even the Seth Rollins thing, I'm like, what are they thinking with this vision? There's no chemistry there. And it turns out they either owned it after the fact or knew all along and kind of played into it. It was going to be part of the story. Yeah, we never trusted each other. We're using each other. And so when you're like, God, you'd think Paul Heyman would be associated with something that seemed to have more natural chemistry. It turned out if it was intended to and didn't, they steered differently. If it never was intended to, they played that card. They played that well as sort of an undercurrent that then they would cash in on as they've done. And obviously some of that's, accelerated because of the Seth injury, but I don't know. So I'm kind of like, well, I think you can make it work with Jay. It sort of goes to what, we said earlier, Sean, Eric and I, about Cody. If you have a babyface who's over, do you really want to mess with it? With Jay, you can say, well, it's kind of played out. It was kind of one note. Can't eat forever. It's going to be stale. We got other, we have, maybe they feel they have more depth on the babyface side currently or in the pipeline. So I don't know. I'm open to seeing if they do something with Jay and keep Jimmy babyface. I mean, I think Jimmy is a good babyface. He's a stand-up guy, and his acting tonight was good. I mean, I think you can trust him to do different things. So I mean, I'm not like dead set against that. It's sort of wrestling trope, like if it's so obviously leaning toward Jay being a heel and Jimmy acting like I didn't attack Jacob. Well, maybe we should expect the unexpected to be what happens in the way that wrestling tells stories, but they throw curveballs at us sometimes. Eric, you want to add anything?
Sure. I mean, I actually agree with you, Sean. I do agree that Jay historically has been a much better character. But I think over the last maybe 6 months, I think Jimmy started to show me more of what I wanted to see from him. Because I think Jay was the rightful Uso deserving of the push that he got. And I think that was pretty clear to everybody. I also agree that I don't want to see a replay of their WrestleMania match. Maybe I'm patient, but I wouldn't mind seeing one more match between the two of them if it was different, to see if they could do something different. But if it was more of the same, I would never want to see it again.
Well, here's the thing, too.
I'm hopeful.
And that's what's throwing me off about this. That's what's so interesting about next Saturday with the Jay against Punk match, because they've had to rush this. And so I thought the thing would be to turn Jay heel somehow in that match, even though I never wanted necessarily Jay to win the title right back. But if he's a heel, to me, that freshens him up and makes him different and has a different layer to it, which I'm like, because Punk winning the title just so quick like that just doesn't feel big for him. Like, it's a big thing for him, but it doesn't feel big in the story. It's just like he's just kind of getting it out of a whim. And so I'm really curious where they go on Saturday. Where do you guys think they're going on that? We'll just go to that. Where do you think they're going with that? How do you think they're maybe playing that, or what do you think they're thinking the story's going to go during that match?
Which story?
The Jay, like when Jay faces Punk on Saturday, like where do you think they're leading to with that? Because I don't know where they're going with that. I'm really intrigued to know how that match is going to go. I have no idea where they're going.
Yeah, I mean, I talked Monday about it a bit. My answer might be different today than then because I don't have it locked in. Eric, what do you think?
Yeah.
Well, what I want to happen is Punk to win clean and see how Jay handles that. Mm-hmm. What I think will happen is Punk will win, and there will be some sort of distraction, even if it's unintentional from Jimmy or even intentional at this point, and cause more friction between them. And Punk will walk away with the title, and it's just more of what comes from that for Jay. I'm having
it's like Dragunov's win over Aleister Black, where it's like it's a win, but a lot of other stuff is going on.
Yeah.
Do you just want to, especially with, sorry to interrupt, parenthetically, when you have a title that's stripped and then you have kind of a rush to crown a champion after it's vacated due to injury, I don't think a good way to kick it off is having a tainted finish. And that's where I'm with you, Eric. Like, just do it straightforward, have a clean win, and let the story be gosh, Jay came up short. How will he react to that? How does Roman feel about that? Does Roman give him a guilt trip? Does that spark Jay, Sean, to your question, to actually get even darker and more heelish because he lost clean to Punk? But Eric, I interrupted you, so I'll throw it back to you before we.
No, I mean, I completely agree. And the one thing I'm having a hard time visualizing is what a heel Jey Uso looks like. I'm having a really hard time figuring out what that is. He's not a dominant heel that beats people. Is he going to cheat to win? Like, I don't know. I have a hard time seeing how that would be successful.
Although, I'm kind of intrigued. I mean, it might not work. I mean, but yeah,
it's better than one note babyface character that he's had lately. I mean, it just feel so going into. You said Dragunov. I wanted to go with this because I'm thinking about this with Dragunov. Derek brought up, and you'll talk about it in the chat, but he had just basically said the fans aren't really with him yet. But the problem with Dragunov is when he came in, it was so early, and he didn't have a chance to. He had some matches with Breaker, but it was very early. He got hurt pretty quickly, and then he's been gone for a long time. So he came back. The fans need to. It's almost like they need to go on a journey with him again. But I like that they had him beat Sammy, because if you're going to have him come in right away, have him have a big win, boost him up a little bit. And then, like you said, this match tonight was really good, and then they just had Selena interfere, and it just got out of whack and it just was kind of ridiculous. I think Dragunov can be a big star in WWE. It's hard because I ultimately would want him to go on more of a journey to win a title, and they just kind of had it rushed him. So what do you guys think about that with the Dragunov? Kind of where do you think he could go, and is this good to have the U.S. title on him right away? And because the open challenge too, real quick, I like open challenges with faces, but I don't want to do it all the time. It just feels like kind of monotonous, and that's just what they do. And I want them to do different things in title reigns. So what do you think?
Yeah, it's funny because I was thinking it's kind of weird to have Sammy talk, hey, John Cena passed it along to me, although there's a long gap. But in a way, they had their match. And then Sammy loses it, very good sport about it. Isn't talking about wanting a rematch or anything, which I wish he would have said, although maybe they just want to steer him in a new direction and not go there, and Sammy's content. But I like Dragunov just continuing the U.S. title open challenge, because my suspicion is the heel who beats him is not going to do an open challenge. So you're going to have two baby faces in a row who show this fighting spirit, this honor. They want to follow in the footsteps of Cena and Sammy. And just in a, not meta, not storyline, but if the goal is to get Dragunov over, I don't know if there's a better guy in the roster to be in a U.S. title open challenge series against a wide array of opponents than Dragunov, because he's so good in the ring. And so if the feeling is he's kind of like Lyra Valkyria, he seems a little too eager to be liked. He's maybe a little try hard with certain aspects of what he does. Some of his selling is a little cheesy historically. The robe and I don't know. I mean, there's things about him that I like, because I think he's just sort of being him, but he is a little much, but I think in a way that is endearing, and especially because he can back it up in the ring. So I like the word journey with him. I think the U.S. title open challenge hasn't been done enough that I think it shouldn't be done with Dragunov following in what Sammy has done. And I think people are just going to be like, I want to see this guy wrestle every week, a different opponent. I mean, Axiom and Nathan Frazier would be fun matches. They're not big marquee names, but they'll be really, really, really good, and they'll be straightforward. Tonight, Black's not going to lose clean to him, so you're kind of expecting some sort of cheesy finish. Eric, your thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, I was really happy to see it continue too. Only because it's only been about 8 weeks or so that Sammy had been doing it. And if you're going to have someone else carry it on, we haven't seen that before. So I always like that. And, Sammy can wrestle a lot of somewhat different matches, but it's still Sammy wrestling matches. So to see someone new come in and wrestle a different match, I enjoyed that. The only thing I thought was tough is for Dragunov to come in and have to follow what Sammy had done so well for the last 2 months. That's really setting him up. That's a big challenge. And he lived up to it tonight, but he's just not as over as Sammy is. So it's going to be hard to kind of meet what Sammy was doing. And with all due respect to the crowd in Tempe, they didn't seem super hot.
It was a small crowd too, and it was hot. Yeah,
smaller crowd. Yeah, we're not in overseas right now, or they're super loud. So that makes it a little tougher too, just to look as good. But I was happy to see it continue. And perhaps the biggest thing for me was the idea of introducing tag team wrestlers can challenge for the U.S. title, and not just keep it at everybody that's at that secondary title challenger level. I like the idea of bringing in Fraxium and anybody else, because then you have so many options for matches moving forward.
Yeah, and you can parlay that into Dragunov in a tag team at some point if he develops a history of tag wrestlers. Yeah, Kabati Smalls in the chat said, interesting modified arena setup with a small stage and lighting rig tonight. A fan there live said the building is small. Yeah, it maxes out around 5,000, and they had about just over 5,000 in the building according to WrestleTix. So they packed the place, but it's a smaller venue than they usually run. Did we get anyone singing Cody Rhodes, or anything like that tonight?
No, it was delightful.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it was fun. Thank you, Tempe.
Yes.
Thank you, Arizona, for not being all European on us. It's, you know, I'm not against Europeans doing it. It's their thing. Stop glomming it if you're in the United States. And I still, I mean, I know I say this every time it's happened in my written reports and sometimes here. I love that Cody Rhodes hates it. You can tell, but he doesn't want the fans to know he doesn't appreciate it. So as they're singing, it just goes and just stands there and waits. And then as soon as there's an opening, he's like, all right, what should we talk about? Like, he waits it out, but there's no sense of appreciate. I should say sense. There's no, he doesn't say I appreciate it to encourage more of it. To him, it's kind of like a what chant. It's like, all right, can I just get to my promo? Like, this is, so anyway, I love that because it's just fun seeing him go right down the middle. I don't want more of it, but I don't want to act unappreciative. And it's actually a really honest, and it's a good response to have. I appreciate the gesture, but it's not for me. I think Dragunov, though, I mean, this is just gonna be a mid-card feud anchoring Friday nights with a good match more weeks than not, and it will provide a journey for Dragunov to establish himself. It'll give Frazier and Axiom, maybe Gargano and Ciampa, maybe Shelley and Sabin, on and on. I mean, like, a chance to have standout matches with Dragunov, and it'll allow Dragunov to get a bunch of wins clean against people who aren't in the singles rank, so they don't have to do screwy finishes. He can just beat a bunch of people clean and get a hot streak going, so that whoever does beat him, they're beating somebody who is on a real hot streak. I don't know that they're going to go that far with it, with tag team wrestlers challenging him, but I'm okay with every one of those matches. I will, watch and enjoy, and more clean finishes are better. And I think everybody I named there should lose to him, but they should also, every one of them should be, competitive.
Yeah, I'd say I just hope people take their time with Ilya because he's so talented. I think he's going to get over big. Like when he has the time to have these matches, tell a different story later on when he gets in a big feud with someone. Like he'll get over it. He'll get over big, and it's going to be fun to watch with him. I'm really excited. I wanted to definitely go to the Jay turn because I definitely had a lot of thoughts on that when I watched it happen. Because you knew it was going to happen when they went to it for a while. You knew it was coming, but I'm a mixed bag. Overall, I like it because Jay needed the heel turn. She needed something different. The face wasn't working. She's so much better as a heel. She'd be so much more believable as a heel. I like all of that with Jade. I think that's going to be a lot. That's going to help her character. It's going to help everything about her. I really hope that I want Jade to actually win the title. I really do. I think as a heel, it'll work. And with Tiffany, I really pray her character's still not working at all for me. And the match with Kiana tonight was too gymnastic. Yep. There's too many moves like that. And with her, I hope if she loses the title, this will get you invested in who she is and a little bit like dig deeper into who she is, not just the one note stuff. I really hope that does something for her if she does lose the title and they move to keep digging into this feud because she needs something bad.
Even when Tiffany ran the ropes tonight, it looked like she was running to do a handspring off a horse in gymnastics. It didn't feel like she got whipped in the ropes, hit the ropes hard. And yeah, I mean, there are, she's super athletic, but the key you want is in any wrestling match is to make it look like a fight, not a big performance. You're not trying to be graceful or fancy. You should look like you're trying to win. Graceful and fancy is a side effect of trying to win. That's fine, but it shouldn't come at the expense of making it look like a fight where you're trying to win. But I didn't expect Kiana to last 10 minutes with her. It was so funny because I'm jumping around here, but with the Jade thing, she's standing in the ring and it's like she's doing like move for move what Samoa Joe did before clotheslining Hangman Page. Like I was like watching this going, this is so similar.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, and then I was thinking she's not going to do it. And I'm like, well, maybe she is. I'm like, oh no, I guess she's not. Then she did. But Yeah, I was like literally typing up. This is totally the scene from Joe and Hangman, and then suddenly I blinked, and then boom, there's a clothesline. I mean, so I don't know if it was a riff on that on purpose, or that's just the way those turns are done, because they are. And it's just actually exposing how kind of what a trope it is to do it that way. But I like Jade being a heel. She's just towers over everybody. I'm not going to wait my turn. That doesn't pay off. I don't know. I mean, I'm good with this. Yeah, Eric, your thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, I agree with both of you. The Jade turn it puts her in a much more natural role for her, and it's time for her to win the championship, because Stratton needs a break probably first, and then come back a little fresher. Nothing, you nailed it, Sean. My exact thoughts on Stratton's match tonight. Nothing takes me out of it quicker than when they started off with like 30 seconds of gymnastics.
Mm-hmm.
I think I even wrote that in my report. I was like, oh, okay, they both showed they can be gymnasts. And I hadn't even crossed my mind that the way she ran the ropes was like she was about to vault off of something. It had that little hop and run towards. And yeah, it's been a tough go, and the women's division is struggling on SmackDown. So they need to try something.
When Tiffany blocked the top rope move by James and landed a swanton, like, it's a spot they wanted to do, but they don't have the wisdom to know, like, it sounds good on paper, but James had to go from attempting a superplex to then Tiffany just kind of dropped her on the mat. And when James was dropped on the mat, she had to sell that like she took like a cannonball to the gut. And you think about all the bumps people take, it just was too much. And then she clutched her gut as she turned on her side, and then rolled on her back, and then shifted at a perfect 45-degree angle for Tiffany's next move. And then Tiffany goes for the swanton and barely grazes her, which is kind of the way they're doing it. And they shoot it from an angle to try to hide that. But it just doesn't look good if you don't actually ever land on your opponent. You just graze their ribs. And so, when it just takes you out of the match when it looks like they're doing gymnastics, but also when the wrestler who's going to take a move is maneuvering them, having to oversell and then maneuver into a perfect position, you just make the match simpler so it can be more believable. There should have been more punishment before James had to lie on her back that long for Tiffany to land the swanton. And I think WWE thinks, well, no one notices anymore. Well, yeah, they're not consciously thinking about it because you've dumbed people down to not believe anything happening as a fight. So they watch it in a different way than they would if you cleaned all this stuff up. I'm rant every week about breaking up a pinfalls. It just looks so performative and silly. JC, I think it was JC who had a terrible breakup of a cover. He just grazed him on the back and he didn't break up the pin. It's like flag football. It's like, oh, I pulled the flag off, the play's over. It's like I touched him on the back. The ref should stop his count. No, he shouldn't. Make it look good.
It didn't allow him to lift his shoulder up. It didn't allow that at all.
And his opponent's still on top of him. So just and you see it done well. Like the thing, when you see it done well, you're like, oh my God. Like if you're cognizant, especially because of me, blame me. But if you're cognizant of that while you're watching match, it's like, oh, that's a great breakup. Why doesn't everybody do that? Because nobody thinks it's important. And I'm saying all this stuff is important. The more you clean that up, the more immersive the whole experience it is. And there's nothing better than watching wrestling when it feels in your gut like you're watching a fight instead of people performing fanciness. And there's too much of that. Yeah.
Now, on the flip side, there were a couple moments tonight, including, I think it was Stratton, who showed urgency trying to get the cover. Like, I think it was after she hit whatever move she hit before she hit her moonsault. She hurried to hit that moonsault and then covered immediately.
The swanton. It was the swanton.
Yep,
it was the swanton. And then, there was an urgency there. And I think someone else did it later on, too. And that stuff, those little things do make a big difference.
That's been an epidemic in wrestling, is the babyface having an advantage and then deciding, now I'm going to play to the crowd to get heat. And it's, luchadors do that. It's kind of culturally a thing that's done because, lucha, I mean, it looks more gymnastic than like a fight. Culturally, fans are used to it. It's baked in. But you got to adjust when you come here. I would argue. And so, playing, especially when it backfires. So you're either making the heel look bad because you're celebrating and have to lay there forever while you play to the crowd. And the argument some wrestlers make, and I've heard this, is, but then when I've gotten the crowd more into it, so when it backfires, they're more into it backfiring. And it's like, I think a lot of fans are thinking, no, you were adult for not trying to win the match and begging us for cheers. So, all right, I already went down that road again. I won't. Just everyone stop it, then I'll stop. All right, Sean, what else?
I just want to ask you, Wade, have you heard anything about and I'm not trying to like project. Have you heard anything about when Bianca is there any word of like is she actually hurt? Because did she actually get hurt, or was she just gone for a long time? Like I was just curious because I haven't heard. I mean, I haven't really wanted to hear anything because I've wanted it to happen naturally, but I just didn't know if you had heard. Is like was she hurt and that's why she's been out so long? Or because when Bianca comes back, it's going to be a boost whatever brand she's on, wherever she's at. It's going to be big, and they do need that to inject in the women's division because even though I liked it when Nia came backstage with Alexa and Charlotte, I did like that they talked about history. I did like that, even though the history sucked because that storyline sucked. But at least they talked about it, and it was part of history. It did happen, so that was cool. But what have you heard anything about Bianca, and when do you think she might be coming back, and what do you think will
I don't have a timeline. I mean, I think it's probably at a point where if she had to, if the timing was right for her to come back, they could probably make it work. But I mean, it was a broken finger and she had surgery on it. You have to let it heal. Gotcha. You don't, I mean, it's like, it seems like, oh, it's just a finger, toughen up. But I mean, I mean, you don't want to have a recurrence there. But that doesn't mean it didn't heal 2 weeks ago and she's not just asked, has some time off because they want to do a big angle at the Royal Rumble or something. I mean, sometimes injuries heal, but they're like, we don't have room for you right now. And we'd rather your return mean more when we do it. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's imminent, but I mean, I do think it could be anytime.
Yeah. And I will say a word of advice to everyone: if you're sleeping on your couch and you have an iPad above you on the couch, and you don't let it hang over you because it can hit you right in the face and it really hurts. They don't look that bad, but when they drop on your face, they really hurt. They're very painful. So just a word of advice to everybody. I don't think they'll ever do that, but just don't ever if you're thinking about it. No, it's always fun, guys. Always appreciate being on with you and hope to talk to y'all soon.
Excellent. Thanks, Sean. Great talking to you.
See ya.
Real Legend in the chat said, that's why I started booing Jet Speed at All Out because they had a chance to grab the titles in the ladder match, but decided to jump on the others. LOL.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, they're just like, and I know there's a generation of wrestlers who grew up where wrestling, they didn't experience wrestling being presented with a straight face and structure as this is a real sport with people. And now, they've been exposed to this idea of it's just all entertainment. We all admit it. We talk on podcasts, social media, everything. It's like there's no mystique. And it's like the place where the mystique belongs is opening to closing credits. And it's not about trying to trick people. It's trying to give fans the best experience watching it. And the best experience you can give them is not honesty. It's pulling them into a world. It's the same thing with a movie. Yeah. You don't want an actor going, winking at the camera going, I'm not really a bad guy. I'm sure you guys love me and follow me on social media and give me hearts and likes. No, they want you to buy into their character. Wrestling, obviously, the characters last beyond just like one movie or one TV series. But still, like, make us believe.
Yeah. The main goal, I mean, what do I know? But the main goal to me should be trying your best to not allow anyone to like see through the curtain or escape what's being presented to you. Like keep them in your universe you want them in at all times.
Totally. And it's not about people actually believing it's real. It's about people losing themselves in the story you're telling. And the way you do that is by having it should be posted in every locker room. Like there should be wrestlers, telling wrestlers, whatever you think wrestling is, your job is not to get a chant. It's not to get a pop. This is awesome chant. It's to have people lose themselves in the story you're telling in the ring. And the way you get them to lose themselves in the story you're telling in the ring is acting like winning is the most important thing in the world. And if you're a babyface, you should be reasonably smart in your strategy to try to achieve that.
Yeah, like Jimmy pulls the table out and then sits there and hugs it for about 30 seconds and pounds on it while his opponent recovers. Yep. I will say during that match was the only time I've ever enjoyed a wrestler holding the hand of someone during a match when Jimmy, I guess, used a fan's help to run across the barricade. I don't know if you saw that, Wade.
Yeah.
But the fan grabbed his hand. But I get so tired of in the ring when they're exchanging holds by holding hands together, and it takes me out of it immediately. Yeah. Like this was the only acceptable way.
There are ways to clean things up and stop doing things just because you saw it done a certain way, or look at how something is done and go, there's a better way to do it. Who ran the top rope super fast? Was it tonight? Yeah, I guess it would have been Ray Phoenix. Like, I think so. He ran the top rope real fast before jumping off it. Like, he didn't do the slow walk where the wrestler can obviously yank him down or shove him. It was just bang, 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 like 5 quick steps and then the leap. And like, fans go, I know it's fake, so I don't care. And it's like, well, then why do movies put effort into special
Right.
effects? Why do we have actors who are good at acting? Why do we not show the director, yelling cut? Because you want to be immersed in the world. And there's still room to clean that stuff up. And I mean, for the sake of the art form, I hope there's continues to be progress.
Yeah.
All right. So Aleister Black entered the open challenge to Dragunov. Zelina Vega now in Aleister Black's corner. I do, I'm anti-trope, but I do have kind of a guilty, I don't know if it's even a guilty pleasure. I love when wrestlers just throw their fit when they get kicked out of ringside. I think like wrestlers, that's like, I want to get into wrestling so that I can be at ringside and a ref can say, you're booted to the back, and then I get to throw the biggest fit in the world. Yeah. So there should be a YouTube collection of videos like they do, their YouTube collections. We run stories on that on our website. And I would love to see Josh Prost does those. So check them out. He does a nice little recap and review of them, and we put a link up. And in their compilation video, I'd love to see the top 10 fits thrown by people at ringside when they're booted, or you could probably do a top 25 because they want to fill out the videos a bit. It's so fun, and Zelina did a great job.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah, she did a really great job. I like the presentation of them. This is the first time we've seen that. It seems like they have more room to maneuver with what they're going to do with Black moving forward than they ever have. So I'll be curious to see what they do next. So
where are you on Aleister Black? I mean, when we talk about potential heel opponents for Cody, like Aleister Black comes up as someone maybe down the line, but there's a history there, and you're playing with fire a little bit unless you really establish that Black is getting booed. I mean, you can just imagine Cody going, no, that. Well, he said things worked out well because he's making a lot more money in WWE than he would have in AEW. I mean, he would have made really good money in AEW if he stayed there, but he's had a really good run in a company that pays more. So, in that sense, all's well that ends well. But I don't know. I mean, Aleister Black, I keep waiting for him to get a level higher than, basically feuding with Damian Priest, that kind of thing.
Sure.
Does he still have it in him, or is there something missing? And it's sort of understandable that he's, just kind of teetering between the first and second tier, but he's not a guy that management seems in AEW or WWE, although in AEW there were some, perhaps other things going on with him, where they just trust to go, we're going to build a SummerSlam main event program around him. Like something at that level, or even a full-fledged, top world title pay-per-view feud. Is there something missing about him, or do you think that's kind of the course they're on now and there's just been other factors getting in the way?
I think it's, how old is he now? Is he late 30s?
Yeah, sounds right. Yeah.
Something like that. So he's still got a little time. I think it's difficult.
He just turned 40 this year. So
just turned 40.
Yeah.
I think it's difficult with the type of character that he is to resonate with enough members of the audience that the company feels confident getting behind him. It's not so extreme like The Undertaker was, and he was so intimidating that they had something they could lean on. But he's stuck in that in between where I think the only way to try with him is to give him a huge win out of nowhere in some sort of secondary pay-per-view main or PLE main event and see if it catches on. I feel like that's the only way to try with him. And I just don't know if they're willing to pull the trigger on it.
Do you think Zelina could be an X factor in promos that can help get Aleister Black out of the muck of the, whatever the mysterious deep words that feel kind of slowly delivered and we're supposed to be entranced by them? And it's a comfort zone for him, and it distinguishes him from others on the roster. But in the end, it's just sort of all one tone, a lot of platitudes. And there's not that emotional spark that makes you go, oh, this guy, I know his mission, and I could imagine him in a world title spot. And I think you want to put people in position to challenge for a world title who can believably, even if you're pretty sure they're not going to win, you imagine in the storyline, that's something that the babyface would fear, that they look believable in that spot. So
I think they need to draw on, obviously the two have chemistry. They're married. I think they need to draw on their
no guarantee
dynamic.
for chemistry.
But they need to draw on their dynamic, because what Black does by himself is so much just a dark character. Is it really the real person in there? We need some of that. We need to, I think it's a pretty easy comparison, but we need him to find what Karrion Kross found and that started to get him to resonate with the fans more. If Black can find that, there's something to harness with the two of them as an item, because it really is very similar to Cross and Scarlett.
Yeah, Zelina has an energy and a vigor and a different tone and pace. And so if they play off each other in promos, that's good. I don't want Aleister Black's style to be, it's a vignette where I talk in a tone that's not really human, and Zelina just, says something at the end or says nothing. Like, she could really be a spark. I talk about Rusev. It's like, I joke, has Rusev ever met anyone backstage? It's like he just sends promos in from a dark room somewhere, then he shows up for his match and leaves.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't feel like part of the world. And there's something to be said for that at some stage, but I think you want Aleister Black standing in the middle of the ring, given the responsibility to carry a 6-minute promo where he explains his motivations. It gets you to feel a certain way, pro or con, about him achieving his goals. And they kind of protect him from that. Derek Mitchell in the chat says, I think Aleister Black is stuck in neutral, and I don't see anything he's doing that makes the crowd invest in him.
And I think the point you just made too, Wade, the crowd investing in him, how is the crowd going to invest in him when he's never in front of the crowd talking to them?
Right.
It's more of an indirect connection when everything's a vignette or in the back.
Yep. So he shows up and like, oh, he's a real thing. He's a real person. So, I mean, he's good, but he's 40. They're not going to look at him as a long-term investment, but I mean, with the schedule he's had and the style he works, he can give him 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more years. I mean, I don't think there's like this obvious cap on him. He's not as beat up as some other wrestlers, in his age group right now. Sean Plichta says, yeah, Black has potential, but his character is tough to book. Jack Reeve in the chat says, Zelina can do the promos. Black can be the badass killer. I don't want Black not to talk. I just want there to be a dynamic develop between them. And like you said, with Scarlett and Karen Cross, that went different places, but eventually it was like, oh, look at these two. You can actually kind of imagine that they're married. Yeah.
That Zelina can definitely complement Black without completely taking away everything.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yep. All right, let's bring CJ out of the show. We had a segment.
He's excited, I'm sure.
Yes, Alexa Bliss and Charlotte. You gonna have your camera on, CJ, or not? Well, we'll bring him on. It's no pressure if you don't. Kathy Kelly interviewed Alexa Bliss and Charlotte on the show, and she said that Bayley on social media challenged them to a match on Raw if they're really the champions they say they are. And Bliss said they accept. And then Charlotte kind of, asked, are Bayley and Lyra even friends? And then Nia Jax came in and kind of went a different direction with it. Not a lot of Bayley content here, but we know Monday there will be. CJ, are you there? And what do you think? Oh, you know what? He did ask in the chat, either CJ, if he was going to be coming up soon. So he might have actually stepped away from his computer for a minute. That might be why. So he can come back to us. I want to actually relate to this, but I don't want to steal CJ's thunder on the Bayley thing, which I'm sure he'll talk about. What do you think about the Charlotte Bliss chemistry? I hate to load my questions with my opinion too often, but I thought tonight was more realistic and less trying to be clever. Like it felt like they were just, Charlotte kind of like, I wonder if they're really friends. Like it just, yes, they built a foundation. Sometimes it was cheesy, but I thought tonight they just kind of felt comfortable, and it was less of a scripted performance or trying really hard to be cute. And it kind of just felt like we were eavesdropping on two people who have grown to be kind of friends. Yeah. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think some of it is that we weren't overexposed to them over the last few weeks, and now we've seen them again. And now it's like they've taken that next step to where they're actual friends, and we're not worried about so much, are they or are they not anymore? We've been able to move on, and now they're actually like a tight-knit unit and friends, and they have inside jokes now. So it worked very well for me. Yeah.
I think this will be a good journey that Charlotte was on with Alexa, wherever they go with it. And I like Jax going, everyone's waiting for you to turn on each other, because that was true at the beginning. I don't think people are necessarily now, other than in pro wrestling, it's overdone. But I don't think people are thinking that's the right thing to do. I mean, I think the right thing to do is for them to eventually split off and go singles. Sean says the Charlotte Nia interaction was actually fun. And Sean added, it seemed way more natural. I liked it tonight a lot. So anyway, let's CJ is ready. So let's bring him on here. CJ, welcome. Good to see you.
Howdy. Eric, Wade.
Hi, CJ.
What's up?
You got to get your fix your hair in front of us, even if it's shorter than it used to be.
Yeah.
If you ever go bald, you'll still be fixing your bangs.
Yeah, it's a habit at this point.
Of course, yeah.
So, do you see Bailey and Lyra winning on Monday? What do you think is going to happen?
Crossed my mind. I mean, if they want to move to the next stage of Charlotte, and Alexa Bliss, I could see it. I mean, and then Bailey and Lyra get to be on both SmackDown and Rivalry if they want them to be. Eric, what do you think? Too soon, or it could be a worthwhile chapter?
Well, CJ, I don't see it happening this time.
Boo! Why?
I do see you having a big moment with Bailey in the future. I just don't think it's happening on Monday night. I think there will be more of a build-up.
DQ, a no contest. What do you see happening?
Bailey losing clean and decisively.
Sorry,
see.
Don't go on my hit bad list, buddy.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a miscommunication, and Lyra will probably take the pin.
You think Lyra's going to take the pin?
That's my prediction. We'll see.
I could kind of see it ending in a DQ or no con or count out or something, and then they fight again at Saturday night's main event, and they win the titles there.
Or Bailey and Lyra win, and then they do a rematch, and that's when the breakup happens. Like, we're champs, we're success. Lyra's happy, Bailey's happy, but remember, Lyra's trying to get away. You know, Lyra's saying last week, or was earlier, whatever. It's a little earlier.
Week.
Yeah,
where she was talking to the GM saying I have other plans too.
Wasn't that Monday this week?
Yeah, it was just
earlier this week. Yeah,
and Bailey came, woohoo!
Yeah, and Lyra's kind of like, she's a little much, and then Bailey's like, hey, how's it going? And she couldn't. You know, I thought it was actually well played for what they're trying to do. Where it just felt, we've all been in that situation where we want to say something to somebody and they just overwhelm us and then they run off. I don't know how often that happens, but like, it felt like I believe these two personalities would interact this way. And Lyra's too nice to like go, Bailey, stop. I want to break up our friendship, or I need to slow it down. I need to ghost you, but I can't because we work in the same place. So they can play off of that. They win the titles and Lyra's like, oh God, Bailey,
I'm stuck.
Yeah, Bailey asked for this match. I'm not going to say no to a tag team title match, and then they win, and then Bailey's like, we get to be a team forever, and we're going to hang out together always, and we're going to train together every day to keep these belts forever. And Lyra's like, oh God, I like being champion, and I'm proud, but at the same time, I can't take every day we're traveling with you, Bailey. They could, I mean, winning the tag titles would allow them to kind of lock them together, and it would make sense a week after Lyra's trying to escape that you sort of get trapped.
CJ, I want to paint a picture for you.
Okay, paint away.
Just imagine, even if it's not Monday or even not at Saturday night's main event, it could be a couple months down the road. Imagine Bailey and Lyra win the tag team championships, come out the next night on Raw, complete huggers, complete with Bailey's original music. They're both
Bailey buddies, side ponytail.
Not only Bailey buddies, you got Lyra buddies.
Yes.
And they do it, and then immediately Bailey attacks her as soon as they get in the ring, and it's all for nothing. And then they turn heel, and then they wrestle. But then they wrestle at WrestleMania, and Bailey defeats Lyra at WrestleMania.
I'd be fine with that, but at the same time, are you too convinced that it's going to be Bailey turning on Lyra, not the other way around?
No, I'm not.
Not convinced, and I'm glad I'm not convinced.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, Lyra if they think that Bailey's a little much, but she's been a heel, and Lyra turning on her could shock kind of Bailey into a zone that they feel like comfortable with her because of the story they told. Kind of like what they're doing with Charlotte and Alexa. I think they feel more comfortable in Charlotte being a babyface after this. And so Lyra was struggling to get over as a babyface. I don't know. I mean, I'm not ruling it out, and Eric says he's glad, but I mean, Lyra really is the person I think we're relating to right now in this. You know, I mean, I do think we relate to Lyra. Like, I respect Bailey. She's a veteran. I want to like her. I just want to be liked. I don't like to upset anybody, but it's just too much energy for me, and I don't know what to expect with her. I mean, I think it's more likely Bailey turns heel.
You're probably right, but
I mean,
I wouldn't be totally shocked if it's the other way around.
Yeah, I mean, I think the odds are stronger by a good margin. Bailey turns heel, but I think you could see a twist, and I don't even know if it would be the right decision, but it won't shock me for WWE to do that. Derek Mitchell says Eric, then Lyra would have a second partner who has turned on Lyra being a tag team champion, much like Becky Lynch the night after WrestleMania.
Good. Give her a complex. It'll make her more interesting.
There you go.
Because there's still part of me that really thinks it is too soon for Bailey to go back fully heel.
I get it.
It's only been a year and a half after 4 years of being heel.
Maybe they win the tag belts and hold them for a year and a half, and Lyra Lyra just feels like she's like been kidnapped or trapped, but the success works. And I mean, what is Bailey going to do this week to make Lyra want to break up with her, but she can't because they're tag champs? I mean, I don't think they'll do it for a year and a half, but I mean, they could play it out for a while. I think they're
definitely at least until WrestleMania. But I just thought of some because Lyra was saying like how she has other plans, but she can't go for the IC title again as long as Becky Hogan has the belt. And I don't see them giving her a world title chance yet. Do you?
No.
Yeah, I don't see that yet. In the future, yes.
Yep.
But not right now.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the ride. But yeah, Bailey needs gold again. She's lit. She looks better with the championship. Come on, let's agree on that.
All right.
Okay.
Anything else, CJ? Yeah.
Yes, non-Bailey. I have a question regarding. I could be wrong here, but I see Jade, and I would put Chelsea Green in this category too. I see them just below world title. I see them more mid-card IC US title. What do you think?
Who are you talking about?
Chelsea Green and Jade Cargill.
Yeah.
More Chelsea Green. I could kind of see Jade as world champion. Kind of, but not Chelsea Green. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think Chelsea's world title level. I don't mean it won't happen, but she's not at that level. But that's fine. I mean, she's really good at what she does. She called me a diva. Like it was a funny line. Her delivery was great.
And not like we've said the same thing regarding LA Knight. We need mid-carders.
Sure. I would say on the other hand, though, I only see Jade as a world title contender. I don't see her as a secondary title contender.
I say that about Drew McIntyre. Like Drew's just too big and too big a physical force and presence. If he's fighting for a secondary title or not fighting for a title, it sort of feels like your thought is, what's wrong with him that he's not world champ or in the world title picture? Because he exudes too much of alpha male headliner in his look and his demeanor and his character and his voice and his style. So if he's not, you sort of feel like, oh, there must be something wrong with him. Same with Jade, and there is something wrong with her. She's not polished enough. She's not good enough in the ring or on the microphone, but she has this look. It's going to be easier as a heel to overcome some of that and the freshness of it. But Jade, it's going to be weird if Jade isn't in the world title picture because it's sort of like either she is going to be a world title level wrestler or it's kind of hard to keep her around because she's just going to tower over everybody but not have good enough matches on the undercard to justify it.
Yeah, for a comparison, I always thought it was strange when Bobby Lashley was the Intercontinental Champion. That always felt strange to me. He's just
it's a good example.
This guy is way too big to be wrestling Finn Balor for the. It just felt weird.
Yeah, and there's something about him. It's not just the size, but it certainly contributes. It absolutely contributes to the points we're making. But there's something about just kind of looking the part of somebody bigger. Obviously, Lashley's matches were kind of a notch below. We want to build around him. Vince really wanted to, but it's just in his promos were not main event level. But he was kind of cool, so people wanted to cheer him. So it's hard to make him a heel. And when he was a heel, he didn't really. There's just. It's weird to say. He looks like the old JBL line. If you built a sports entertainer from the ground up, that was so obnoxious. You get Randy Orton, and with Lashley, if you built a guy who a non-fan would think must be the centerpiece act of a company, you'd build Bobby Lashley. Yeah. But there was always something just not quite there. Like it was close, but it just wasn't quite there. And so it is tough to utilize people like that. But
he had a presence about him.
Yeah.
So brain fart. I think I'm good for tonight.
Cool. Good call.
You got a big
CJ,
title
thanks.
match coming up on Monday.
Oh, yeah. You'll definitely be hearing from me on Monday.
Yes.
Hopefully, I'll be in a good mood. But yeah.
Good. All right,
Have
cool.
a great weekend, guys.
Thanks for cheering us
I'll
up. Here.
listen
Thanks,
to the
CJ.
rest.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend.
As far as Chelsea goes, Sean says they can tell a story with Chelsea down the road, but I think she's better in a role right now. I'm not ruling out someday they couldn't do something with Chelsea, but they have beaten her up, marginalized her, treated her like a punchline, and it has been delightful, and she is valuable. And I think people, when they watch WWE, she is a contributor to what makes WWE entertaining. She's diverse. She stands out. She's not just an interchangeable character. All of that. But she has not been portrayed in a credible enough way to be in a world title picture at all. So it would take some real rebuilding, and maybe they can get there. I don't know.
There's a big difference between the way they're booking Chelsea Green versus the way they're booking Dominic Mysterio. You know, Dominic is at that level, but it's like they refuse to portray Dominic in a light that will prevent them from making him a main eventer in the future. But with Chelsea, everything is fair game. They can embarrass her, they can do whatever. And that's fine.
Totally. Yeah. All right. Shinsuke Nakamura taking with Rey Fenix tonight. We mentioned that against Tama Tonga, JC Mateo. Corey Graves said that Nakamura said in an interview last week with Tokyo Sports, he said he has a lot more goals for his career because they're kind of playing against the idea that he's just sort of back as a novelty act, but he's kind of done and spent. And he says he actually said he wants to become world champion again. Where are you on Nakamura at this point? Do you think that he is at 45 years old still able to, the way he's augmented his style, combined with how WWE has utilized him over time, somebody they can bring back into that spot? Or is that overstating things? I mean, I could imagine being like a Saturday Night's Main Event, quickie one-off opponent, but like, do you see him with another world title reign, or are they just planting the seed to make you feel he's still in it with a purpose, not just to be a novelty act?
I'm having a hard time seeing it. It also didn't help me that last time we saw him, he was this deranged heel, and then he comes back and is immediately a babyface, I guess, just because he gets attacked during his match last week. Yeah. So if they're going to do something with him, we need some sort of explanation of what from him, not just on social media, but like we said, in the ring or something to say, here's what my goal is. Do something to get him some sympathy. But if he's going to do anything, if they're going to put a world championship on him, it would have to be transitional, because with all due respect to him, there's way too many people ahead of him in line that are much more ready.
Real Legend says, I feel Nakamura's been gone long enough that he feels kind of fresh again. I agree. It doesn't explain a sharp turn in his character or whatever, how we're supposed to feel about him. Sean Plitch just says, Shinsuke is not at that level anymore.
The tag match felt fresh, and it was because he was in it. But I don't see him at that level or getting back to it.
Yeah. How are you feeling about
AJ Styles? Honestly, they're very similar.
Oh, yeah.
AJ's still a little bit notch higher, but similar.
Yeah, I think it's a good comparison. The MFTs, face paint, a little insane clown posse look or something going on here. Is that good? Is it good for them to have that look? Does that distinguish them a little bit so they don't seem as like B team bloodline? That we had a little comment from Graves or Cole saying, whoever it was, said that Solo should be looking over his shoulder for the Wyatt Six because they've had some run-ins. Is this act working, and is anyone standing out to you at this point as, or is it just kind of a collection of, sort of mid-carders cosplaying a threatening gang that messes with semi-main event people? I mean, that's probably the current place they are.
I think Solo's working better. I think Solo's working pretty well. I think the rest of them, it's just like henchmen A, B, C, and D. There's nothing to really separate them. You have tall henchmen. You have weird, like making guttural noises henchmen. I don't know what they're doing with them. I don't mind the face paint. It's something distinct and makes them more noticeable, makes them look a little bit more aggressive. But if they want to really do something with this faction, they need to create a dynamic between everyone in it. Yeah. And they just don't seem to be committed to that.
Yeah. They as Real Legend points out, wasn't that the Gorillas of Destiny look when they were in Japan? It looked a little more Kiss in Japan and a little more Insane Clown Posse to me. But I could, maybe they're exactly the same, and I'm just remembering wrong. But they had a little more of a Kiss feel with the look in New Japan, I think. Let's see. Cavanti Small says, I'm surprised at Tama's thicker look. Derek says the MFTs look like Insane Clown Posse or Vampiro Deadpool faction. There you go. What were you gonna say, Eric?
No, I mean, I noticed that Tama Tonga was noticeably more bulky now, and I don't know why he was off. I assume he was injured. I can't even remember anymore.
Yeah,
but he noticeably put on some weight.
Yeah.
I also didn't understand why his interaction with Fraxium, I think it was.
Oh yeah, it just does a little mouth. Like,
it just
whatever.
seemed odd it seemed odd to me to see Henchman B by himself barking at somebody or whatever it is he does.
Grumbling or saying,
like, what are we trying to set up there?
I mean, they're planting a seed. It's like, Polovec thing, just cross paths and we'll get around to it later. But now you've seen them on the screen together. Do you think they're doing an okay job with Ray Phoenix with his athleticism and is this just good? Him kind of, teaming with Nakamura and hanging out there?
Not really. I think he could be doing a lot more. They're certainly giving Penta a lot more focus on Raw than they're giving Phoenix on SmackDown. And I don't know why, because there's so much more they could do with Phoenix right now. Maybe they'll give him a U.S. title open challenge match soon and let him show off a little bit more. But then is it right back to random tag team matches? I don't know. If they're going to do that, just put him with Penta. I don't know. What would you like to see from him?
I ask because I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's enough people just kind of like him, and I think he's just the kind of the token guy playing that slot right now, and I don't have a clear vision for what they can do that would get more out of him, and I almost feel like you needed to do it right away, or else it's almost too late. He's just kind of interchangeable at this point. Yeah, I mean, Derek Mitchell says Ray Phoenix is the temp agency for tag partners, Andrade, Javon, and Nakamura. I mean, that is a pretty good way to phrase it. Finey 5008 says, Wade, why does WWE think the MFTs are such an interesting act? I don't know that they do. I just think they're a little short on talent.
Heels?
I think, what's that?
On heels?
Yeah. I mean, someone said earlier, WWE could use a draft and some new talent from NXT and kind of freshen some things up. I mean, I'm not like down on them, but I'm not excited about them. I mean, there was sort of that was it Kenzo Suzuki, Heidenreich era of SmackDown, like a 2007 or something like that. And it was just like, oh God, it was just like it. There's sometimes your sports team just has like, a quarterback or a starting five, and it's just like there's no charisma, there's no real like spark to what that gets you excited about their charisma and their dynamic charisma, like Carson Wentz and the Vikings. I mean, it was an awful game last night, and it's just like, it's like, okay, we kind of know what we're getting now. And it's like with the MFTs, it's like, okay, we kind of know what we're getting with them. They're trying, we had the meetings, but it felt now like there were things that we're supposed to speculate about, and it doesn't feel like they're following up or there's going to be a payoff. And they're always going to feel like B Team Bloodline. Yeah, Eric.
Yeah, it seemed like that Solo was building to a point by renewing his faith in all of them one by one in these vignettes. Yep. And all that leads to is they gang up on secondary baby faces and challenge the Wyatts for the tag titles.
And we're
it doesn't feel like enough to me. This should be Solo's going after Cody, and they're all just going to outnumber him and just destroy him.
But I don't think we want to see Solo and Cody. That's
the
thing.
I mean, it's tough. They just don't have anybody else.
I don't
Maybe
think
they should move to Raw.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying like just cut Solo, but like I don't know that if this goes to my like NBA starting five or your top line in the NHL, like there's someone on that starting five or a couple people or the top line, you're like, oh, that's the best we can do for a top line or a starting five. Like Solo does feel like he's a third line NHL player, eighth man off the bench. And it's like, he's fine, but he's not dynamic and in the ring or on the mic. And so I just think you got to be real sure that you're not over pushing them if they're occupying spots, I guess it'd be the way to put it. Yeah. Real Legend reminds me, I left off Rene Dupree. Yeah. Kenzo, Rene.
How could you forget?
Yeah, exactly. Going back to Ray Phoenix, Ray doesn't seem as charismatic or connected to me as Penta does. His moves are cool, though. That's the thing, I mean, they needed to do something pretty early on with Ray to protect him and establish why he's different than Dragon Lee or Sin Cara, or pick your interchangeable guy who's brought in, but not because of the mask and whatever. There's only so much character development you can do with somebody when you can't see their face, and so
have they announced more than 2 matches for Saturday night's main event yet?
Good question. Because
do we know of any on SmackDown besides the WWE Championship match? Because it's next weekend, and there's only one more SmackDown before, only one more Raw. So that provides a little less focus too. They could have focused on matches they're building, but they haven't announced anything.
And now that it's on Peacock only, I mean, I don't think they care that much about it. So we got Punk and Uso, Cody and Drew, and then Tiffany and Jade. It's been
okay.
So
but that's brand new. So
yeah. But I mean,
not much.
No, but I don't think they should spend a lot on it. I mean, it's like they're running out. They're just sort of running out the contract in a way. It's just, I don't know. I mean, if it's not on broadcast NBC, it's just on. I don't know.
What's the point?
Yeah.
It's not that special.
Yeah. Real Legend says they announced 5. 5 what? I don't know.
5 matches?
Yeah, I don't. Maybe it's talking about something else. Real Legend says Solo would be my 6th man if we're talking NBA analogy. Sure. I think we covered almost everything other than Carmelo Hayes in his little promo. Eric, your thoughts on him saying, I'm fine. We're good. I don't need to go after Miz. I'm bigger than that. Do you think they're going to stick to that, or is that just setting up Miz attacking him and then Carmelo demanding a match? Or are they trying to avoid what sometimes seems like a good move, but it often isn't, which is when tag teams break up, they wrestle each other. Mm-hmm. Is it better? I mean, my hunch is Miz is going to go, oh, you don't want to fight me? That's because you're afraid you're going to lose to me, and goads him into a match. And they just want to establish Carmelo as kind of an appreciative former protege who now just wants to move on, and he's not going to hold a grudge. What do you think about that approach?
I assume it's going the way you said it's going to happen, and Miz is not going to put up with it, and he's going to either attack him or call him chicken or whatever it's going to be. They're going to end up in a match. If that happens, I stand firm that I want it to be a Carmelo Hayes is Brock Lesnar and absolutely destroys the Miz without Miz getting in any offense whatsoever, and really puts over Carmelo very well. But I would also be thrilled if they never wrestle and this was the end of it and they do something refreshing and new and just have Melo say, I'm done with it. I'm trying to move on and, achieve my potential here. And I'm done with that. I very much appreciated that he didn't at any point run down or berate or belittle the Miz tonight. He actually just sung his praise and said he was appreciative.
I'll be
but he
forever
just
grateful.
Wants to move on. Yeah.
Yep.
They're doing such a great job with him. He's come so far. And I hope they keep going down this route.
I told people to be patient with Carmelo. Not everybody needs to be protected and pushed when they first show up, that there was a story arc with him, and whether they're trying to, test him or see if he'd latch on. I don't think how he was used initially was a death knell, because he came across as the story was he's a first-round draft pick who's underachieving because he's overconfident. And there's a lot of ways you can go with that story, including him growing into a more mature person who's not overconfident, but now is an ex-number-1 draft pick. So that works.
And he struggled admittedly when he first got called up to the main roster.
Yeah.
He struggled with his promos. He struggled a little bit, but he's gotten more comfortable and you can tell he's feeling it now. Yeah. So now is the time to keep harnessing that with him. He should be a secondary champion sooner than later.
Yeah. Yep. Miz attacking him. I'm enjoying this undercard feud story, says Goodfella. And Sean Plitch in the chat says Carmelo's in a better place now. I think there are good things ahead. Eric, anything else you want to bring up from tonight's show? Anything else on your mind or in your notes or a follow-up or anything like that? I'll look at the chat, see if there's anything worth throwing up before we sign off here too.
The only other thing I was wondering is what they're going to do at Survivor Series, but that's something to get into later. Yeah. I think we've covered everything from SmackDown tonight that I noticed.
Yeah.
Like
do you agree a draft? Do you agree a draft would be good? Derek Mitchell earlier said John Cena's gone after December. WWE needs to either do a draft or have freshen up the roster, particularly SmackDown, because it feels like a bunch of mid-card guys. So big picture, you kind of hoping for SmackDown to get a draft or to be replenished and freshened up with the draft.
I remain hopeful that they're going to have a draft that gets heavily promoted by ESPN and it's really treated like a real sports draft in a way we haven't seen in probably ever. Yeah. I think they could make a really big deal about that. And it's been, a year and a half now, at least since we've had one, and it'll feel much more fresh. And it's really getting to the point where it's time for people to make some moves. It's just a matter of when's the right time to have that. Do you want to have it before we get to Royal Rumble, WrestleMania season, or wait till right after?
I know.
Like my guess would be right after WrestleMania have it.
Yeah. It's weird. They just don't talk about it and skip past it with everything going on with Netflix and stuff. Yeah. All right. Very good. Well, appreciate Eric talking SmackDown with you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was great. Thanks, Wade. It was fun.
Everyone check out his reports at PWTorch. Thank you, chat, of course, as always. Just a reminder, VIP membership is waiting for you. We are waiting for you to go VIP. You can get a 7-day free trial through Patreon or Spotify. Just search PWTorch VIP. That'll unlock our VIP podcast lineup. You can also upgrade to a full VIP membership, credit card, debit card, and that also works with Apple Podcast app and Apple CarPlay. Go to pwtorch.com/govip, and